The world of global trade was shaken when President Donald Trump announced a significant increase in tariffs on steel and aluminum imports. This decision met with immediate criticism and threats of retaliation, sending shockwaves through the global economy. Key US trade partners, including the European Union, Canada, and Mexico, have condemned the move, promising swift and decisive countermeasures. The ramifications of this decision are far-reaching, with experts predicting a potential trade war that could destabilize global markets and harm economies worldwide. The Trump administration argues that these tariffs are necessary to protect American jobs and industries from unfair competition. However, critics argue that they will ultimately harm American consumers and businesses, while doing little to address the underlying issues in the global steel and aluminum markets. This escalating trade dispute highlights the fragility of the global trading system and the potential for economic conflict in an increasingly interconnected world. As the situation unfolds, the world watches with bated breath, uncertain of the ultimate consequences of this high-stakes game of economic brinkmanship. The European Union, a staunch advocate for free trade, has wasted no time in denouncing the Trump administration's tariff hike. European leaders have deemed the tariffs unjustified and harmful to both European and American businesses and consumers. In retaliation, the EU has threatened to reactivate tariffs on a range of US goods, including iconic American products like bourbon motorcycles and peanut butter. These retaliatory tariffs, which could come into effect as early as April 2025, are designed to target sectors where the economic pain will be felt most acutely in the United States. Furthermore, the EU is considering implementing import quotas, which would limit the quantity of specific US goods entering the European market. This multi-pronged approach underscores the EU's determination to protect its interests and send a clear message that protectionist measures will be met with a firm and resolute response. The EU's response highlights the bloc's willingness to engage in a tit-for-tat trade battle with the United States, a scenario that could have significant implications for transatlantic relations and the global economy as a whole. Canada, America's northern neighbor and a close trading partner, has expressed deep disappointment and concern over the Trump administration's tariffs. Canadian officials have stressed that the tariffs are unjustified and harmful to the integrated North American economy. In response, Canada has announced retaliatory tariffs on $155 billion worth of US goods, a move carefully calibrated to exert pressure on key US industries and constituencies. These counter-tariffs, which came into effect on February 4, 2025, target a range of US products, including consumer staples like orange juice and peanut butter, as well as industrial goods. The Canadian government has emphasized that these tariffs are a measured and proportionate response to the US actions, and that they remain committed to resolving the dispute through dialogue and negotiation. Canada's measured response reflects a desire to avoid an all-out trade war while simultaneously defending its economic interests and sending a clear message that protectionist measures will not go unanswered. In the face of growing trade tensions with the United States, Canada has been actively pursuing a strategic shift in its energy exports, looking beyond its traditional reliance on the US market. This diversification strategy has seen Canada increasingly turning towards Asia, particularly China, as a key destination for its energy resources. Central to this pivot is the expanded Trans Mountain Pipeline, which became fully operational in May 2024. This pipeline, with a capacity of 89,000 barrels per day, provides Canada with a vital conduit to transport its abundant oil reserves to the Pacific coast, opening up new markets in Asia. This strategic infrastructure project is a testament to Canada's commitment to diversifying its energy exports and reducing its dependence on any single market. Canada's energy pivot to Asia represents a significant development in the global energy landscape, with the potential to reshape trade flows and geopolitical alliances in the years to come. The current trade dispute between the United States and Canada unfolds against the backdrop of a long and complex economic relationship. The two countries share the world's largest bilateral trading partnership, with goods, services, and investments flowing freely across the border. In 2023, Canada exported 77% of its goods to the United States, highlighting the deep economic ties between the two nations. The United States is also Canada's largest energy supplier, further underscoring their interdependence. However, this relationship is not without its challenges. The US has long maintained a trade deficit with Canada, a fact that the Trump administration has repeatedly pointed to as evidence of unfair trading practices. However, economists argue that this deficit is largely a reflection of the relative size of the two economies and not necessarily indicative of trade imbalances. Despite the current tensions, the economic realities of the US-Canada relationship suggest that both countries have a strong incentive to find common ground and resolve their differences. President Trump's approach to trade relations with Canada has been marked by a series of provocative statements and actions that have inflamed tensions and strained relations between the two countries. In a particularly controversial remark, Trump suggested that Canada should become the 51st US state, a statement that was met with widespread condemnation and ridicule in Canada. Trump has also made inaccurate claims about Canada's military and banking regulations, further fueling perceptions of animosity and mistrust. He has repeatedly accused Canada of taking advantage of the United States in trade rhetoric that has resonated with his base, but alienated many Canadians and undermined efforts to find a negotiated solution to the trade dispute. Trump's rhetoric, characterized by hyperbole and often lacking in factual accuracy, has injected a level of volatility and unpredictability into the US-Canada relationship, making it challenging to find common ground and build trust. The ongoing trade dispute between the United States, the European Union, and Canada underscores the high cost of protectionism in an interconnected global economy. Economists warn that these tariffs will likely lead to price increases for consumers in all affected countries, as businesses pass on the increased costs of imported goods. The tariffs also threaten to disrupt global supply chains as companies scramble to adjust to the new trade barriers. This disruption could lead to job losses and reduced economic growth, harming workers and businesses on both sides of the Atlantic. Furthermore, the escalating trade tensions risk undermining the rules-based trading system that has underpinned global prosperity for decades. Ultimately, the pursuit of protectionist policies threatens to create a lose-lose scenario for all involved, undermining economic growth, jeopardizing jobs, and eroding the foundations of the global trading system.